Hello, all. Welcome to Universal Group of Institutions, Bengaluru. Welcome to the second series on the nuclear issues. In our previous video session, we have discussed about the nuclear treaties. In this particular video session, we are just continuing that part. I mean, the places which are free of nuclear weapons. That means where you cannot test the nuclear weapons. As you are already aware, at the end of the Second World War, the world was divided into two superblocks. The one led by the United States of America, the second one was led by the Soviet Union. We also see that there was a great arms race that was happening between the two superblocks. Each of the nation was trying to build their conventional military. At the same time, each side was also building into the space race, that is the launching the satellites. I mean, they were trying to weaponize the space. At the same time, they were also building their nuclear arsenals. As I said very clearly in my previous video session, that is the nuclear free zones, that at the height of a Cold War, there were more than 70,000 nuclear weapons. Where I mean, considering the situation at that time, it became a very inevitable that one fine day we are going to have a nuclear war and the entire humans will be wiped out of the face of earth. So in this particular video session, we are just discussing the continued part of that, that is where the nuclear weapons cannot be tested. See, as a matter of peaceful coexistence, as a part of the disarmament, we see that there are certain areas called as the global commons, where we cannot test the nuclear weapons or where we cannot store the nuclear weapons. What are global commons? See, the global commons lie beyond the jurisdiction of any country. You cannot claim the asset of yours. You cannot militarize such areas. At the same time, they are accessible to every country, and it requires a cooperation to protect such global commons as well. So in this particular video session, we are going to discuss about the Antarctica Treaty, the Outer Space Treaty, as well as the Seabed Treaty. First one, that is the Antarctica Treaty. Historically, the southern pole nations, the south pole nations, that is the Argentina, Chile, Australia, New Zealand, as well as the Norway, United Kingdom, France, have staked their claim to the the Antarctica. So the one treaty that was signed on December 1, 1959, clearly says that the Antarctica belongs to everyone. Antarctica cannot be, militarized, and moreover, the Antarctica will be used as only for a peaceful purpose, that is the scientific purpose. Can you see here the core objectives of this? The demilitarization, there is a bans all kind of military activities, that is including the weapons testing. Second one, the nuclear prohibition. You cannot test the nuclear weapons, as well as you cannot dispose the radioactive waste and store there. And it is meant for only the scientific cooperation, promotes freedom of research and information exchange, and preservation of status quo. That is, as I said, freezes the territorial claims. If you look at the treaties, the parties, the as I said very clearly, the country like Argentina, Chile, Australia, New Zealand, than the new colonial powers like UK, France, Norway, they all claim their stake to the part of Antarctica. So it freezes. You cannot claim the parts of the Antarctica. So some of the key provisions of this particular one happens to be the Antarctica used exclusively for peaceful purpose, inspection rights for parties over these stations, and it is a mandatory for to report the research and share the research results among the nations. Initially, it was signed by the 12 countries, that is including USA, USSR, UK, Argentina, and India is also has also signed the Antarctica Treaty. And moreover, India maintain its own research bases out there. The first one, we had something called as the Dakshina Gangotri, which has been closed as of now permanently. Apart from that, the most recent one happens to be the Bharati. Prior to the Bharati, we had the Maitri. So, Dakshina Gangotri, Maitri, and Bharati are the India's research stations in Antarctica, but Dakshina Gangotri has been completely closed now. Next, it holds the consultative party status with the voting rights in a decision making, and it is a part of the Antarctica Treaty System that talks about the peaceful preservation of the Antarctica. Next, we have the Outer Space Treaty. Because if you look at during the time of the space race, where each country was launching these satellites, and the space was militarized, because the concept of militarization of space and the weaponization of space, they're completely different from each other. For example, the militarization of space refers to, let's say a satellite has been launched. That satellite is giving you the exact coordinate where you need to bomb. So that is nothing but the militarization of space. That means the peaceful use of this space can also be used for the military activity as well. Whereas the weaponization is refers to where you store the weapons of mass destruction, where where you develop the capabilities to take out the each other's satellites, something called as where we tested the Shakti mission. I mean, where we have the capability, ASAT capability. I mean, that means we have developed a missile, ballistic missile, which is able to take out the enemy's satellite as well. So, outer space treaty, what does it talks about? Officially titled as a treaty on a principles governing activities in outer space, that it was signed on 1967. And the committee on peaceful use of outer space has been specifically created to see the implementation of this, establish space as a global commons free for all the nations, promote the peaceful use of a space, as I said, and prevents arms race in a space. Okay, and it prohibits the placing a nuclear weapons in the space, as I said very clearly, and no sovereignty claim over the outer space or any celestial bodies like moon. States are liable for national space activity, including the private entities can also. Astronauts are regarded as the envoys of the mankind and must be assisted in a distress. Remember this very clearly. And the membership includes 113 members of the countries. India is also party to this. So, what is India's role? India has signed it and ratified it on a Jan 18, 1967, and it take part very proactively in the activities of the space. Treaty is the foundation for the international space law, like the Moon Agreement of the 1979. The last one happens to be the Seabed Treaty, where you cannot again test the nuclear weapons on the seabed. As you know very clearly, we have something called as the territorial waters, contiguous zone, and the exclusive economic zone. Then from the exclusive economic zone onwards, there starts something called as the high sea. High sea is completely different from the seabed. Okay, now here come. The treaty is known as the prohibition of a nuclear weapons on the seabed, and it opened its signature on the 1971, as I said very clearly, and it became effective by 1972. So it was, I said very clearly, it was also developed during the time of the Cold War to prevent the arms race on the ocean floor. You cannot store any nuclear weapons on the ocean floor as well. So what are the core objectives of it? Prevent the militarization of the seabed, especially the nuclear weapons placement. Preserve the ocean floor for a peaceful uses only, and avoid any geopolitical conflict over the oceanic zones. Again, India happens to be the member to this. India, we have signed it, we are party to it. There are 94 states are parties, including the all the nuclear powers like India, which signed it on a Feb 11, 1971, and it actively endorsed the nuclear disarmament and peaceful use of the international spaces, that is including the disarmament. So what it does, it prohibits the nuclear weapons and the WMDs, that is the weapons of mass destruction, beyond 12 nautical miles from the coast, because it said very clearly the first 12 nautical miles happens to be the territorial waters, then after that contiguous, then the exclusive economic zone. So allows the peaceful use like scientific research, resources, and the mutual inspection and areas. So do remember about these three important treaties which clearly outlaws the storage of nuclear weapons: the Antarctica Treaty, then we have the Treaty on Outer Space, then we have the Treaty on the Seabed. That's it in this video session. Do like, do share, do subscribe, do let us know. I mean, if you have any concern in the comment section, and I have also a question for you. And do tell me, from where does the territorial waters starts? What is in terms of the nautical mile? So where does the contiguous zone? Where does the exclusive economic zone starts? Thank you. Keep watching.